Hello there, this is Kevin Sorbo from Hercules Andromeda and about 55 movies. If you haven't seen them, you better go see them now. And you're listening to the iWalter. It is real talk about absolutely nothing. Just nothing. It's kind of like the Seinfeld show.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Don't fucking say hello to me, bitch. Don't fucking say hello. I don't play that sexual harassment shit. Let me get your address.
What do you mean sexual harassment?
Bitch, you don't fucking say hi to strange women you don't know, bitch.
I'm gonna call the cops.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. Yeah, couple things I want to say. I have a couple things lined up. I did pay for Kevin Sorbo to give me an intro to my show. It wasn't that bad. I mean, right now I shouldn't be spending money like I do. I realize that because I could be looking for possibly another job. Anyway, I do admire Kevin Sorbo for his beliefs, mainly in politics, because that's what I always like to talk about somewhere or another. So I actually paid the $50. I asked him at this convention, this comic book convention was in Oaks last weekend. I actually won all 3 days, which is amazing. Of course, I got a little dent in my back bumper I got to get fixed. It probably cost $1,000, most likely. But I asked him, hey, would you be interested in doing a plug for my show? So he hands me his business card for this place he works for, which he actually did me a favor because, excuse me about that. He actually did me a favor because now I figured, you know what, it's a lot cheaper. He wasn't that bad. Because there's some celebrities that will give you a personalized video of themselves for like $300. So Sorbo is not that expensive, and the man's very smart. He's a very intelligent man. So I appreciate that. The only thing I had a little bit of a problem with is why couldn't he say the iWalter show? I'm not going to make a big deal. I mean, the man's much more talented. Has been in the business longer than I have. And Guy Sorbo is a producer because one of the shows that's been on the local cable network is called, I'm going to say this wrong, but Andromeda. It was like from Gene Roddenberry's. It was stuff that he started early, he had like kind of like notes on, paperwork on, but it never got, produced until after his death. Like they sold off stuff that he was working on that never actually developed into anything. So Kevin Sorbo actually was exclusive producer to Andromeda, and if I'm saying that correctly. So I actually got it from some guy. I returned some stuff online and had some money, and so I bought it from somebody on eBay that wanted to get rid of their copies of Andromeda. I should stop saying it because I'm saying it incorrectly. And it was like, because that show is really interesting. All the actresses are really hot. The females, I mean. So anyway, before I go any further, I just want to let you know also, the reason I played that sound clip of that woman complaining about sexual harassment, because it's just so out of control now. I did look up, and maybe I'll go into a little detail, but I found something that said there was like 122 cases against like guys that are pretty wealthy and well-known. And real quick, one of them, a celebrity who has been charged with sexual harassment now, by women are doing all this stuff. And I still think it kind of revolves around the whole situation that people, especially on the left, are pissed off at Trump becoming president. Well, one of the people got accused now is Kevin Sorbo. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that, Kevin. No, was Kevin Spacey. The man's gay. So how could he freaking sexually assault a woman when he's gay? Come on. So that should raise a red flag right there. I mean, I have my doubts. I hate to say this. I will get shot down and probably even reprimanded for this. I even have my doubts for some strange reason about, what do you call it, Mr. Jello Puddin' Pops, Bill Cosby. I mean, it's just like the man is 80-some years old. He's gotten a sentence now to go to prison for 30 years. The man's he's not going to be able to serve 30 years. He's going to be dead before then. I mean, and now they removed the star of David. No, his star from, I'm trying to look for my mouse. I think my thing froze up. His star from Hollywood. It's like, boy, what a way to end your life. Like you had a successful show. You know, I'm not telling people, hey, if you got sexually assaulted, you should keep your mouth shut. Well, in some ways, maybe you should, because why do you wait until the man is like retired, no longer in the business, and now you just got to basically destroy his life? You do this stuff while they're in, Hollywood, or, and kind of nip this at the bud. You don't wait until after the fact to bring this stuff up. That's my one pet peeve. My other pet peeve is I just think it's just, a friend, I asked him about this. I said, what do you think of all these women coming out of the closet, complain about these men sexually assaulted them? And he says, well, probably what part of it is, if I remember correctly, if I understood him, I should say, my one friend, perhaps, what it is it's like women are jumping on the bandwagon. And why are they doing that? Because, I'm sorry, I'm killing these bugs on my screen, because I had the windows open. Screens are down. It's because they want to, hey, it's an easy buck. It's an easy way to make money. Yeah, I'll accuse this guy of sexually harassing me, and I'll make a settlement for a couple $1 million, and that won't be the end of it, though, because then they want more. So it's just really out of hand now. I mean, who's going to be the next person? You're going to get like cartoon characters, like the actual cartoon had sexually assaulted you, because that's what direction it's going in. It's a bunch of nonsense. Okay, I went a little too far with that. I might go into a little detail, but I already did that. Anyway, I was mentioning about, like, I got Kevin Sorbo, and part of the reason was because a friend had told me about Sorbo before, and he said, he was down at the Philadelphia Comic Convention a few years ago, and he says, I really wish I would have talked to the man, because he's very much a conservative. I don't want to say an ultra-conservative, because I asked him that, and he says, well, I wouldn't call myself an ultra-conservative, but I am conservative. Anyway, so, and it's funny because, again, there's a station in Philly now. It's called Comet TV, but it comes out of Philadelphia. Apparently. I don't know, because you can get it on your cell phone, too. Comet TV is not tied down to the actual cable network, so you can actually go on the internet and watch live streaming TV from Comet TV. But they got a couple good shows on there, and one of them is obviously Kevin Sorbo's. I'm going to call it Kevin Sorbo's, even though it's a Gene Roddenberry idea. Because I looked up what a producer is, by the way. It's like, okay, before I put my foot in my mouth like I normally do, maybe I better look up what exactly a producer is responsible for. So I actually did that. I'm going to go through my stuff. Okay, and here we go. It basically, the definition of what exactly does a producer do: film producer can fill a variety of roles depending upon the type of producer they are. Either employed by production company or independent. Producers plan and coordinate various aspects of the film production, such as selecting scripts, coordinating the writing, directing, and editing, and arranging and financing. So I didn't know what exactly a producer does. I know they basically fork out the money, but actually come up with the funding for whatever project you're working on. But they have a big say on, what is being produced. So Kevin Sorbo had a very big part. I think he also, because he was in Hercules as well, he had a big part in that too, because that show was on for a long time as well. Now, one thing I do like about Andromeda, am I saying that? I hate using that word because I'm always saying it wrong, is, like, I'm not a big fan. Like, there's so many fanatics for Star Trek. Like, there's Deep Space Nine, there was Voyager, which I forget which one I liked. Oh, Enterprise is the one I liked. And there is Next Generation, the original Star Trek. There's like a whole crap load of different TV shows that came out of the Star Trek universe, and I never really, none of them actually appealed to me except Enterprise, and I'd even stick with that. Now, Andromeda, I actually do like. I actually really enjoyed it pretty quickly. At first, I looked at it because the special effects are kind of cheesy sometimes, in my opinion. You can tell they're really bad computer graphics for monsters and stuff. But the actual storylines are actually very good. It's very close-knit, so to speak, on the episodes. Like, it's the main characters all the time that the stories are based upon. It was on for five years as well. So I started watching it, and it caught my eye because it did do an episode with my favorite thing of time travel, or something to do with there was a disruption in time to try to save one of their crewmates. So that kind of like raised an eyebrow, because the one character named Trance, I believe her name is, who was done by what is her name? Laura Beatram. She's really cute too. She plays an alien. It's kind of funny. She's got a trans stamp on her back, but yet she's an alien, like a true alien. She's got pointy ears, elf-like looking, but she's some type of weird alien. And her character evolves. Like, she meets herself, or the crew members meet her future self, where she's more mature than the alien that she plays is in the episodes I was watching. So there was a thing in order to save one of the crewmates, she had to take her younger self into the future, and the future self had to swap spots. It was a very weird episode, but it really caught my attention. I was like, you know what? This actually looks like something very promising. The episodes are pretty cool, and they got hot girls. So any Star Trek show, I hate to say, always consists of hot women. So that's a plus in my book. There's a lot of hot-looking women in that show, too. And hot guys, too. No, seriously, there's a lot of hot-looking women. Another one that it was killing me to figure out who she was, because I've seen this woman, is Lisa Ryder, who's on the show. And by the way, it's a Canadian show, too, which is kind of interesting, because I believe most of the Star Trek shows are, like, shot in the U.S., but this one is actually a show that takes place on the production part of it. I believe in Canada. At least most of the actresses are, the main ones are from Canada. The two of them are, at least. So anyway, Lisa Ryder was like, every time I seen her, I was like, yeah, she's really hot, but where did I see her before? And then it was like I looked her up, and here she was in Jason X. She played some type of robot in there. And it was like she was less attractive in there, but she was like very cute. So it was like, oh, no wonder why I recognized Lisa Ryder. So yeah, she was in that Jason X movie, which myself and a friend, we had seen it at a screening up in New York. So that alone was like, wow, this is really cool, because I love her. Not that I've never seen her in anything else, but it's just like her character on the show is just like very, I want to say yes, it's very eye-catching. Most of the women on the show are very eye-catching. But also, it's just a very well-scripted character. Well, you can thank, I would assume, Wow, she's 47, Lisa Ryder right now. Kevin Sorbo, because it's basically he's the one kind of responsible for keeping the show alive. So, yeah, and it was on for 5 years. So I just wanted to say that. So I am watching, and I did buy this movie from Kevin Sorbo. He did with Sean, that was produced by Sean Hannity. I haven't watched it yet, so I apologize. Not that he will listen in. If he does, then I can say firsthand, Kevin, thank you for the plug for one thing, and two, I apologize for not listening or watching your show yet. Movie, not your show, and your show, because I'm waiting to get that. Like, it's on right now, by the way, in the background. So I wanted to mention that. I have very little to talk about tonight. I just wanted to do something because right now when I have time off to do shows during the week, I will. And plus my parents, who I live with right now, well, for the last 30 years practically. I was out for a little bit and I moved back home. You know, they want down to Cape May. We live in Pennsylvania. We went down to Cape May, down in Jersey for the sorry, I'm trying to kill these damn gnats or whatever. For the week, and tomorrow they're coming home. So it's very difficult to do a show when you have people in the house because you will be I'll be very nice because, be out of respect, and I'll ask them, hey, I'm going to do a podcast right now if you don't mind. Can you just kind of not bang on my door or slam doors, make a lot of noise? And they will say, all right, but what they do then, especially my father, I don't know if it's a passive-aggressive thing. I'm assuming that it is, though. I hate to say it. He'll get very boisterous. He'll get very loud, and he does slam doors. And he's walking around. Somehow he walks around that you can hear him. It's like one of those, I don't know if they do that in movies anymore, where you got the sound effects guy who gets the shoes and puts them in the gravel to make it sound so you can hear people's footsteps. Well, that's my dad, and he just does it naturally without special effects. Or making a special effects. He makes his own of many types. So it's very irritating. So a lot of times I'll wait until they're sound asleep to do a show, or I'll otherwise I will try to do one when they're wide awake, and it generally does not work. So, yeah. I was going to continue on about horror movies, and honestly, I forgot where my train of thought was with that. And that's why, I wrote down, by the way, what I asked Kevin Sorbo to say. And the thing was, though, I think he read it word for word, and he improv just a little bit. He should have done a little bit more, when he said iWalter. Not a big deal. I'm just making a big deal out of it because I'm very anal about stuff. You know what's kind of funny? This is off the subject. From work, I take these things because I'm very OCD. I've said this a million times. I got extremely bad OCD. I've had it my entire life. I'm not going to do any psychological evaluation on myself on another show. But I take these from work, these things that are called, they're sterile wipes. They're alcohol wipes. These are the purest of the pure. We use them to clean where I work. They're very sanitized. I was like, you know what? Just in case I lose this job, I love these things because they're very durable, and I'm a germaphobe to an extent. Not a large extent, but to a small extent I am. And I like things clean. I can't stand dust and dirt, and yet it's still always around me because of my electronics. It draws dust and dirt like a magnet, literally. So I get these alcohol wipes from work, and I use them for wiping around my electronics I take to work. And then I'll take a couple of them home, these alcohol wipes in the pouch, and use them at home. It's well, yeah, they can't be that expensive, can they? Maybe I can figure out and buy my own. So I looked it up, and it was yeah, you can buy a case for $1,000. It's yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll buy the cheapest thing I can find for $5. They're not going to be as good, but yeah, that's just ridiculous. $1,000. I looked it up. It was just it caught my attention. Anyway, the reason for that soundbite, because I said this earlier, but I've been asking a friend, I said, since Donald Trump has gotten into office, it's out of control with these women accusing every man under the sun. Eventually, it's going to be kids who are going to be accused as well young boys of it's not the teacher's fault that they're getting sexually assaulted by female teachers. It's going to be the young man's fault. You give it time, and I will bet you dollar for donuts that it's going to happen. Just give it time. So, because Hannity, by the way, had an interesting thing. This is another thing I want to bring up on the segment of the show tonight, was the percentage, which is very humorous, the percentage of, the public schools who are, not proficient with math or English. And it's a large percentage. It's a very large percentage. It's over half. So to me, that's a large percentage. It's almost 3/4. And it goes state by state because Hannity talked about this, and he went off. He was really upset. So obviously, I want to do a show about that, which I am now. And it was definitely entertaining. I mean, the percentage of people who are pretty much almost like morons surpasses my IQ level. Almost, but it's up there. Meaning that my IQ level is actually higher than the amount of people who are actually smart in our country. So there's a lot to be said about that, trust me, because my IQ is very low. Very, very low. Okay, so, boy, I'm going to really get distracted because I got the Sorbo show in the background, the Star Trek Sorbo show. So, anyway, I try to dig and dig and dig. Anytime you want to find everything, because I hate to say it, most of the internet is probably controlled by the left. So it does not help me whatsoever when I want to try to prove a point. It's like, it literally is pointless because I'm not going to be able to do so. So I did the best I could and to try to find an article, and I think I found something that was, close enough. So the one said there was 122 celebrities so far, men, who have been accused of sexual harassment. So I might have two stories up, but the one I'm looking at right now may or may not be the one I'm trying to look for. It says, here are all the public figures who have been accused of sexual misconduct after Harvey Weinstein. And you know why the whole thing with Harvey Weinstein started? Because that was not too long after they were accusing of Trump of, fooling around with prostitutes and having this whole overblown out, out of proportion story about these prostitutes who went into, I believe, a hotel room or something that President or Vice or ex-President Barack Obama and his wife had stayed at, and that Trump had them, these prostitutes, go in that room and urinate all over the bed, which was a bunch of BS. It never came out to be true. But yet the left keeps on pushing all these accusations about Trump being, promiscuous, whatever you want to call it, sleeping with hookers is the best way I can put it. Just being a real, misogynist, I guess. And none of its stuff has been proven true yet. So, okay, yeah, it's 122. So I'm not going to read all 122, and it starts at number 122, which is, I don't know these people. Some of them I might, but this one I don't know. Steve Wynn, David Copperfield. These are guys who got accused of sexual harassment. Michael Douglas, Mario Testino. What is that? Testino. I don't know these people, and I obviously can't pronounce their names then. Joel Kramer, James Franco, Joel Achenbach. See, I'm going to really screw up these names. James Rosen, Paul Haggis, Mike Germino. See, I should stop. I really should stop. Peter Martins. I'm trying to go for either ones just to get at least 10 in. But it's just really over the top. It's just over the freaking top now. Chuck Close. I'm not going to even try to. Oh, T.J. Miller. It's the guy who plays on Silicon Valley. He's the guy who's the pothead on Silicon Valley. He's been accused. He's at number 105. I mean, come on. Gene Simmons is on that list of sexually harassing women. Jerry Richardson, Chris Matthews, Brad Kern, Andrew Dookie, Morgan Sporlock. It just goes on. Travis Smiley, Alexander Hewitt, Ken Friedman, Captain Kangaroo. I don't know. It really pisses me off. It really pisses me off because you're turning every freaking heterosexual male and one gay man into, sexually perverted, crazed maniac, sexual perverts that are attacking women. So, and it's like everyone now. It's like everyone. So, and this one guy, it says John Huckenberry, is in a fucking wheelchair. I'm sorry. And they're accusing him. Yeah, I'm sure the guy, what do you call me? Wheels? They even accused the fucking guy of being a sexual, sex offender. I just locked myself out of. I got to tell you, too, I'm using a different version of Linux right now, so bear with me. So make sure it's still recorded. And I was going to talk about that. I haven't yet. Linux Mint. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. Probably not. There is so many different flavors of Linux. I can't say it. What is wrong with me, Walter? Geraldo got accused. Matt Lauer, obviously, because that was just new. Andy Rubin, I apologize. Excuse me. I remember I saw him in person. The guy is like completely harmless, but is Ryan Seacrest. He just came up. It's like, who are you not going to accuse? Who are you not going to accuse? You know what? If I was a guy, Sylvester Stallone's on here. Ron Jeremy. Come on. Ron Jeremy is a sex offender? The guy fucking was a porn star. You got to be fucking joking me. So, yeah, the whole thing is nonsense. And they don't know when to stop. If I was a guy in Hollywood that was actually successful, you know what I would do? Richard Dreyfuss is on there. Oh, okay, here's another one. Wow. You hear that? That's a clap. That's a hand clap. Guess who got it? George Takei has been accused of sexually harassing women now. The man is fucking gay. He's been gay. He's been out of the closet for so long. He's been out of the closet longer than he was actually in it. And they're calling him like a sexual predator or whatever it's called. A sex offender. So that really is pushing it. That is really pushing it. And there's a lot of well-known actors on here. Like, you name them, they're on this list of sexually assaulting women. Wow. And two of them are gay. Two of them. Kevin Spacey and George Takei. They're both gay, but yet they sexually assaulted women. Wow, that's amazing. And trust me, these guys, especially George Takei, he's really gay. I mean, he's open about it. He's interested in only men, but yet he sexually assaulted women. Wow, that's amazing. So, I hope you see what I'm talking about with this. This is total nonsense. What I was going to say, though, if I was a guy in Hollywood, I would turn the tables and start. And President George W. Bush was on that list. The man no longer can barely walk, but yet and this was like recent accusations about the man and sexually assaulting. I guess it was help or something like that. The man can barely walk. I think he doesn't walk at all. Ex-President George W. Bush. Ben Affleck's on there. That one I'm kind of questioning. I don't know. I'm being sarcastic because I doubt most of these. But if I was a celebrity man, what I would do, I would turn the tables and start pulling this game with women and saying, yeah, so-and-so woman accused me of, had sexually assaulted me. And, turn the tables and see how they like it. And make false accusations, because I would believe, I'm going to guess that a lot of these lawsuits, accusations, trying to bring the white, powerful male down, which actually there's a couple of these guys that are not white males. They're actually, quote-unquote, African-Americans who have gotten accused. So, yeah, they don't hold anybody out. It's like a no-holds bar. They accuse every freaking male who's is successful just to ruin their career. Even if they're out of the business, they're being accused. Had retired. So to me, it's nonsense. It really is. I look at this and it just gets me more and more angry. And why make such a big deal of it? Because I'm sure I'm going to hear that from like friends, and it's like, well, the big deal is, it's a witch hunt. It really is a witch hunt at this point, and it's because they're angry because they didn't get Hillary Clinton as president, the Democrats. And that woman was so corrupt, and you never hear about that. The only corruption you hear about is with these harmful white males. I don't want to say white males, but these harmful males who are destroying women's lives. Well, you know what, ladies? If you don't like this fucking country, why don't you go over to the Middle East, where women are treated literally like dog shit, and the husbands are allowed to physically abuse you and beat you up, and even if they find it necessary, it seems like, probably even kill you, and see how much better that is than this country with your false accusations, which I'm sure a lot of them are. The last one that came out, believe it or not, and I really love her. I used to. Now I kind of think twice. I think she's a very good actress. She was on my list of ones I liked. Is Sandra Bullock. She came out saying she was sexually assaulted by her boyfriend. I was like, wow. What's the next step? You're going to say that infants, ladies, are sexually assaulting you? Because I've seen some stories where women literally sexually assault little infants. So I'm sure that's going to get twisted around. Of course, you can't get any money out of the infant unless their parents are like billionaires, and then you're gonna go that direction too. I mean, it literally is horrible what is going on in our country. That's what I want to say. Oh, I feel much better now. You know what? Actually, I don't. So, to kind of lighten the moods, not really, but I just have to because I did look this up and I thought this was very entertaining. Because I put all my, what do you call it? Political stuff, links for anything that deals with politics. I kind of link it to my Facebook because it's just easier to have it there. And then when new stories come up, they do pop up and they show me, okay, this is the newest story. This is the newest gossip, whatever. Usually the gossip comes from the left, though. And then I bleed through it and I try to find a good story. Well, I found a good story, trust me. And I'm trying to see where this one comes from. I'm not doing it very... Oh, Fox News. Okay, get this. California highway workers face buckets of human feces, needless as homeless crisis worsens in California. So they got buckets of feces on the sides of the road. Can you believe that? This is California. I'll read a little bit, like very little bit. As California homeless population skyrockets, the cost of cleaning up state's numerous shanty towns is also hitting record highs. And the price tag is likely to keep rising as workers tasked with tossing the vagrants, what is it called? Vagrants syringes, like basically like syringes though, for drug addicts, Feces in buckets of urine fight for safer conditions. So it's very unsanitary. And you know what majority of California consists of? It's these migrants and illegal immigrants that they are insistent that they have rights, which they don't. But in California, they do. You know what? My friend Matt asked me about this before. Do you ever hear, and here's this word, the Golden State? Because it was the gold rush. He told me, why is it called the Golden State? Do you know? And I said, no, I don't, because that's, when our forefather or our country was being founded, the states were being settled into, there was, this need to go out west because there was this large abundance of gold in the west in California. So people, settlers would go out west for that reason. So it's called the Golden State. I didn't do a very good job with explaining that. I never explain anything right anyway, so what's new? The Golden State's homeless population of more than 130,000 people, is that 1,000? Because it says 1,000, doesn't say 130. People is now about 25% of the nationwide total. And cleaning up after the surging group is getting costly, topping $10 million in 2016 through 2017. But the human cost is getting equally unattainable, a workers' advocate says. And it goes on to say more. So it's not a very long article, but the more I try to read, the worse it gets. I'm just trying to see if there's anything like that would be like really worth mentioning before I just kind of drop this story. Okay, somebody's quote from a woman said, "I've been exposed to blood, needles, woman's feces, feminine products, 5-gallon buckets of human feces." This is in California with all these homeless people and, migrants. I actually have a different name. I would call them degenerates, but whatever. California's homeless population ticked up by 13.7% to 134,278 people in the past year, about 25% of the nation's total, according to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development report. Homeless may get mobile showers at Los Angeles metro stations. So there's a little bit more in the story. Not going to read it all. The whole thing is no puns intended, but it is very disgusting. And it's very sad. So, talking about human feces, by the way, there was a story from Patch News, and this one was located in Jersey. It says, Kendallworth superintendent charged with pooping on Homedale track. At Homedale High track team wanted to know who was pooping. Either they were pooping on or near the track and football field on a near daily basis. So it's the superintendent who was taking shits on the track and field. It's very smart of the man. A superintendent. Wow. What's it say? Oh, shit. Sorry about that. I just got locked out of my... I got this screensaver that comes on. Let's see. So... It seems like something like track... I'm trying to, like... It's an Italian name, this dude, but it's like Tremdelli or something. It's the superintendent of the Kentworth School District, and also lectures part-time at Rutgers in their graduate-level education classes. I'm sorry, it's just funny. After his arrest, he requested he take paid leave of absence from his $147,000 a year job. So, God, that really Sucks, I guess. But he teaches, this guy is a superintendent. He teaches a graduate level class at Rutgers, and he's shitting on the track and field. That's very smart. That's a very clever thing to do, dude. Alrighty, I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about, because, you know what, I'm actually falling short for change, which is always a good thing with my ability to just, have the gift of gab. So this is the first time I actually am running shy on stories. I do have the one last thing I wanted to mention with kind of sort of statistics, because I heard this the other day on not Ken Matthews, on Sean Hannity. Like I said, he was going off about basically how stupid people are nowadays, and he's not blaming the kids, he's blaming the teachers, which he said that the amount of teacher violence, the teachers are, violent, they are attacking students, they're abusing students, is fairly high. Plus, they're not teaching the students. And he said the problem is, because if I ran into this situation years ago when I was in college for a speech and communication class at Montgomery County Community College with this professor named Toby Mackler, where she played favoritism. She would fail whole entire classes, and it really pissed off people. Like, she was very biased, very, very biased woman. And I remember I heard about it, that certain groups of the whole entire class would take complaints to the dean, and they would not even look at it at the college. And the reason is because she had a lot of tenure. So they couldn't touch her, and they would not touch her, and they wouldn't do anything. So it's stuff like that you hear go on. And then, again, was talking about it, Sean Hannity, where these teachers, basically, they don't even have to show up to school after a while, because if they have enough tenure, they won't show up. They get paid full salary, and they get great benefits, and they could be sitting on their ass, and they're not teaching these kids jack shit. So that's the problem. And I had to look for statistics on what Hannity was talking about. I don't know if it's the same source, because the one I'm using is called cnsnews.com. I don't know anything about them. So I don't know which one he used. I can't really tell you. So I broke down some of this stuff, and it was called, this title was called the title literally is 65% of the public school 8th graders not proficient in reading, 67% not proficient in math. Well, math and English are the two big things. 65% of the 8th graders in America public schools in 2017 were not proficient in reading, and 67% were not proficient in reading, and and 67%. I'm sorry, 67% were not proficient in math. So reading was 65%. And math was 67. Sorry, I'm slurring my words now. Only 5% of Detroit public school 8th graders were proficient or better in math. Only 7% were proficient and better in reading. 7% out of 100. And that was in Detroit, Michigan. In Cleveland, public schools only had 11% of 8th graders that were proficient or better in math, and only 10% were proficient better in reading. Well, I have my other reasons that I would say why this is true, but I'm not going to mention it, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut, which is very difficult for me, I know. Did I read this already? In Cleveland public schools, only 11% of 8th graders were proficient or better in math, and only 10% were proficient and better in reading. In Baltimore public schools, only 11% were proficient or better in math, and only 13% were proficient or better in reading. Wow, that's really great. And you know what? Because I said this to a friend the other day who had just taken a final exam test for a independent study. I told him, you know how they get around this? Because he was afraid like he didn't do too well, that he was not going to get an A. And I told him, my friend Matt, I said, listen, it's not him, but I wish I could go back to college now, or even to middle school or grade school, because right now I would have like a 3.5, a 3.7 without even showing up to class, because they there's that, it's like a bell curve, but it's even worse where they just pass everybody, and everybody's like super genius because you can't offend anybody, and the teachers don't want to teach anybody any longer. So what happens is you got a bunch of morons who, according to statistics, are like rocket science, rocket scientists, but they can't even read or write. So it's amazing. I would really love to go back and do everything over now, because I wouldn't even have to make an effort like I did years ago, writing papers and things like that. I wouldn't even have to know how to write. I would just get an A. It would be wonderful. And it says in Fresno, I don't even know where that is. In Fresno, public schools, only 11% were proficient or better in math, and only 14% were proficient in better, or proficient in were proficient in reading. So let's see, because I really screwed that up. So 11% were proficient or better in math, and 14% were proficient or better in reading in Fresno, in the public schools. So what are you going to do? Blame that on the public schools? Because I find that like as a very weak excuse, in my opinion. Alrighty, I'm still going to fall a little bit like 10 or so minutes shorter than I normally do, but that'll be fine. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Okay, so what I did was I did cut and paste, or screenshots, I should say, and cut it off, like, because it goes through all the states and who's the dumbest state. So I cut it off when it got to Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. So I'm going to read these off that are a little couple minutes, too. On this article on the public schools, 8th graders, on how stupid they are, state ranked by percentage of 8th graders proficient in reading tests in 2017, Pennsylvania came in at 40%. For the entire state. Because I'm only going to read Pennsylvania. I don't care about anybody else. I'm just going to read Pennsylvania. State ranked by percentage of 8th graders proficient in mathematics in 2017. Pennsylvania came in at 38%. 38 out of 100. So that's pretty bad. That's really bad. And believe it or not, there is a lot worse than that. And that's saying a lot too. Okay, urban district ranked by percentage of 8th graders proficient in reading in 2017. Philadelphia came in at 20%. And there's actually a few more underneath of that. So that's extremely bad. I'm sorry, no matter how you look at it, it is horrible. It's horrendous. And not least, or how you say that, urban districts ranked by percentage of 8th graders proficient in math in 2017. So, proficient in math in 2017 for Philadelphia. Philadelphia came in at 16%. So, it's not like golf that the lowest score wins. No, the lowest score is horrendous. And trust me, the high score on these percentiles is no more than 50% on any of them. And the highest of the lowest is 41%. And that was in math. So I always had a difficult time with math and English. But I certainly made a desperate attempt to do the best I could. These people I don't even think are trying. Yes, you can blame the teachers, because that is a large percentage, because a lot of these are these teachers' unions. I did use the word union, that just destroy our country and do nothing. But also, a lot of this is because of political correctness as well. And trust me, if you don't believe that one, I'm not going to say that same cliche and I say all the time, but I can't help it. If you believe that, I could gladly sell you a piece of ocean front property in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So anyway, folks, this is Walter from iWalter. And sorry about that. Boy, that was loud. My tripod thing, I moved it around and made a lot of noise. But I am going to sign off for now. Hopefully you enjoyed what I had discussed tonight. hopefully I did not disgust you, and have a good night. And I will be back sometime in the near future, because I'm like a Time Lord. Have a good one. This is Walter.